Got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole wide world in your hands. Hello again, this is Bharat from Palmistry Talks, and we're talking about the headline. And we talked about the first classification, how the headline begins, whether it's attached to the lifeline or it's beginning separate from the lifeline. And now we go to the other classifications of what happens when the headline is running across the frontier of the palm. Now, if it just goes straight across the palm, that is indicating left brain dominance, logic. 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4. So when the headline is attached to the lifeline and it's running straight across the palm, this will be a person who is cautious, is thinking about things, and the archetypical profession, would you say, is a bookkeeper. You know, somebody who has intelligence, but they're very rational, very left brain. 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4. The advantage of this type of mind, even when the headline is separate from the lifeline, is that they're not necessarily going through emotional mood swings, and they stay pretty level. The people that have it attached, attached to the lifeline, they're having caution in their life and they're slow decisions. So I don't advise these people to start businesses. They're better to have businesses with partners, or they're better to work, let's say, a job where there's somebody above them making the major decisions, like a bookkeeper or somebody like that. So these are the type of people, that we find actually in most jobs. Okay, now the other situation is when the mind, the headline is attached to the lifeline, and then it starts to curve. And if it's just like a slight curve, which hopefully you have some diagrams here. If there's a slight curve, that shows like a good synchronization between the left and the right brain, which is intuition. And these people have that. They're a little bit more creative. They're not just straight logic. They would be doing something a little bit more juicy, something like that. But they still would be cautious and thinking. But when that headline starts to curve deeply into the moon area, now we come into what I would call the emotional headline. So that they're attached to the mind, they have to process everything through the mind. That's when it's attached to the lifeline. And plus they're going to go through emotional mood swings. That somehow is the wiring of this type of headline. And to be honest, it's not a good situation. 99% of the time, the person who has this type of headline is going through emotional mood swings, and it's not easy. And of course, you have to talk about this with the person. Of course, now going in to the intuitive, into the moon, there's usually some more creativity. Person can be more creative, and usually are. And I actually recommend that they should be creative because they're paying a high price for their creativity. Because it's going deep into the collective unconscious. And if you know about the collective unconscious, this is like the sea of mind, this universal sea of mind. And in this universal sea of mind, there's a lot of bad things, like people's nightmares, monsters, and the devil, and fear. So it's not that much fun to go deep into the moon area, actually. With the headline. It's better to a little bit not go so deep. So the less deep that the line goes, the better, in fact. Now, you could have a situation where it gets so deep that it's running parallel to the lifeline, and they call that the writer's headline. And I actually have not correlated that or seen. Most people who have that are not writers. They might be expressive, and they might be creative, but they're not usually writers. It's kind of a misname to call it the writer's headline. But what these people have, the deeper that it goes into the mount of Luna, or the moon mount, is these people will have depression. And the deeper they go, the deeper that line goes, the deeper the depression. And in fact, it's very well coordinated and documented that there is a higher probability of suicide when somebody has a very, very deeply sloping headline, you know. So that is when the headline now is attached to the lifeline, and we're going to get now to the situation where the headline is separate from the lifeline, and when it's separate from the lifeline and going, well, let's continue with this deeply the curving headline. So it's separate from the lifeline and it's curving deeply. This shows a line. It's actually quite a different dynamics that's going on, and I think that I will go back to the other way. Okay, so when you have that headline separate from the lifeline and it's going straight across the palm, this is a very advanced mind, and the person who has that will, and also when it's curving. So anytime the headline is separate from the lifeline, it's talking about advanced mind. And when it's straight across, going straight across and not going too far to the end, because that creates such a certain situation, which we'll talk about when I talk about the different variations of the headline. So when it goes cross, this is talking about somebody who's left brain dominant. They're very logical. Again, 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 and 2 is 4. And with that straight line, they can be very single pointed. You know, they can focus on a problem and just, you know, like an arrow, straight like an arrow. And if you go to any business, you go to any organization, a project, and you look at the person's hand who is running that business, who initiated a business, who's maintaining the business, they're usually having this type of headline, you know, because these are the doers of the world. So first of all, when you see somebody with a separate headline, this is an indication that they need to be doing something in the world, that doing an action, which is what the headline actually represents, is how you're acting in the world, how you're thinking and how you're acting in the world, is an integral part of their being. And if they're not fulfilling that, which I do on many occasions, have sessions with people that are not fulfilling their destiny in that way or their potential in that way, they're not completely happy. So, you know, they have to be a doer in the world, you have to be a player in the world, and if they're not doing it, you know, that leads into issues with the person. Okay, so I want to end it here because I think we're going on too long, and then we're going to come back on the next clip. Okay, so then again, this is Bharat from Palmistry Unplugged. Sorry, Palmistry Unplugged. And you can download my books, you can do anything, you can have a reading with me, you can contact me, you can ask questions, at least not on your personal hand. If you want a personal reading, then you have to have a reading with me. But if you have general questions, I'm always available for that. And we're going to see you like very soon, within minutes. And and we'll continue with the discussion about the headline. Okay, so thank you. See you later. Got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole wide world in your hands. You got the whole